at Souq News Television. Let's begin with today's top stories. Nigeria and Brazil signs $1.1 billion green project to mitigate challenges in the agricultural sector of Nigeria's economy. Federal government reviews expatriate quota approval process as Pengassan accuses oil firms for discriminating against Nigerian professionals. Surveyor General of Nigeria begins 3D drone mapping of the Federal Capital Territory for effective deployment of agricultural resources. And Nigerian Customs Service in Oyo and Osun states makes 2 billion naira in revenue by curtailing anti-smuggling activities in the region of the country. Nigeria and Brazil has officially signed the commercial phase of the $1.1 billion Green Imperative project 6 years after the initial agreement. The project aimed at enhancing food security and agricultural productivity in Nigeria was finalized at a ceremony held at the Presidential Villa in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Vice President Kashim Shettima emphasized the initiative aligns with President Bola Tinubu's administration's goals of economic growth, policy continuity, and private sector-driven agricultural development. It focuses on sustainable, low-carbon farming to boost Nigeria's food production, challenging agricultural productivity by connecting small-scale farmers with the entire value chain, leveraging the private sector participation and investment for long-term impact. The initiative includes importing and locally assembling agricultural equipment like tractors while providing training to Nigerian workers to ensure sustainability. Brazilian Ambassador Carlos Garcet praised the collaboration, calling it a significant step toward food security and economic diversification. Key stakeholders, including the governors of Jigawa and Benue states and the federal ministers, attended the signing ceremony and expressed strong support for the initiative, describing the project as a transformative step for Nigeria's agricultural sector, emphasizing the importance of South-South cooperation between the two nations. Now, the Nigerian federal government, through the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, has vowed to take action against Sterling Oil Exploration and Energy Production Company over alleged anti-labor practices. This comes after members of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengassan, staged a protest at SEPCO's headquarters in Lagos, accusing the company of violating expatriate quota regulations and marginalizing Nigerian workers. The Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board reaffirmed its commitment to enforcing local content laws and sanctioning companies that fail to comply. The board also recalled that SEPCO had previously been penalized for similar violations, including deploying expatriates without approval and neglecting its workforce development obligations. Despite agreement to corrective measures in 2020, the company allegedly failed to implement them, prompting the Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board to schedule a compliance review for March 2025. In response, SEPCO denied the allegations, insisting that it adheres to all federal labor laws and industry regulations. The company asserted that it prioritizes employee welfare, local job creation, and corporate governance while actively engaging with labor unions such as Pengassan to maintain a fair and supportive work environment. However, the board maintained that it would not hesitate to impose sanctions on firms that fail to comply with the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act. The board's firm stance signaled its determination to uphold local content policies and ensure fair labor practices within the sector. Now, the Nigerian federal government has reaffirmed its transparency in managing expatriate policy following allegations of irregularities in the oil and gas sector. This comes after the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria protests Sterling Oil Exploration and Energy Production Company's headquarters in Lagos, accusing the company of prioritizing expatriates over qualified Nigerian professionals. In response, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Interior, Magdalene Ajani, has assured the public that proactive measures were in place, including a recent policy to change centralizing expatriate quota approval under the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunjiojo, and the Permanent Secretary. To further address concerns, the government established a review committee comprising the Ministry of Interior, the Nigerian Immigration Service, and the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association. The committee is tasked with evaluating the existing expatriate quota policy and recommending necessary improvements. The government emphasized that a revised framework would ensure a balance between business interest and the protection of local professionals, reinforcing its commitment to accountability and fairness. Now, members of the Green Chamber, the National House of Representatives, have donated 705 million naira from their salaries to support President Bola Tinubu's humanitarian efforts. The donation, representing a 6-month 50% salary deduction, was announced during an iftar event hosted by the president at the presidential villa in Abuja. Speaker Tajuddin Abbas stated that the contribution aims to assist vulnerable Nigerians and acknowledge President Tinubu's commitment to national development. Vice President Kashim Shettima, speaking on behalf of the president, urged lawmakers to prioritize unity and national progress over political differences. Shettima assured Nigerians that the government economic policies are yielding positive results and called on leaders to govern with empathy and fairness. He emphasized that history will judge them by their ability to build a stronger and more prosperous Nigeria for all citizens. Nigeria Federal Ministry of Education has launched a nationwide technical and vocational education and training program, TVET. In a press statement released by the Director, Press and Public Relations of the Ministry of Education, Folashade Boriowo, the ministry called for the registration of skill training centers, vocational enterprises institutions, and mastercraft persons to enhance industry-relevant skill development program in the country. According to the statement, the successful registration of these centers will enable access to government funding to train candidates. The ministry has also set a number of requirements for the registration of vocal centers to ensure standardization, and one of such requirements is the registration of the centers by the Corporate Affairs Commission of the country. Now, latest stock price index export and the National Bureau of Statistics has revealed a drop in Nigeria's inflation for the second consecutive month in February 2025. Inflation rate reduced to 23.18% from 24.48% in January this year, as Nigerians expressed concern over the persistent high cost of essential commodities nationwide. Despite overall decline in inflation, Edo, Enugu, and Sokoto states recorded the highest inflation rate, exceeding 30%, a situation that has been attributed to high food prices, increased transportation costs, and supply chain disruptions. The latest data showed that Nigeria's headline inflation rate declined by 1.30 percentage points in February compared to the same period in 2024, when inflation stood at 31.70%. Now, Nigerian exchange market opened this week first of trading on the negative, shedding 8 billion naira as investors continued to react to market headwinds. The benchmark all-share index declined by 155.96 points to close at 105,799.17 points, bringing market capitalization to 66.3 trillion naira. Despite the market's recent losses, the all-share index maintained a year-to-date gain of 2.79%. The downturn in equities was occasioned by sustained sell-offs, with 35 stocks recording losses against 18 gainers, as Academy Press led the gainers list with a 9.22% increase to close at 2.88%. The market recorded a total trading volume of 477.5 million shares in 13,520 deals, with a total turnover of 7.05 billion naira, which represented a 36% decline in both volume and value compared to the previous trading sessions of Friday, 14th March. You're still watching Souq News Midday. We're going to break. We'll be back in a moment. To stay with us.
What keeps the heartbeat of a community alive? Is it the courage to create, the power to connect, the vision to transform? Well, it's all of these and more. It's a symphony of ideas, innovation, and industry. But where do these stories come alive? It's right here on The Isle, 104.9 FM, the station where dreams meet action and growth finds its voice. The Isle, 104.9. Business, economy, development. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Glad to know you're still there. Now, the Nigerian Tax Bill 2024 proposes to remove the 2024 tax incentives for businesses in free trade zones, sparking concerns among the National Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture. The association wants this could reduce foreign direct investment, slow economic growth, and discourage private sector involvement. With 48 out of the 50 free trade zones privately developed, the proposed change may undermine investor confidence. Nasima urges a public hearing to assess the impact before implementation, while the government seeks a revenue. Balancing tax reforms with investment incentives is crucial. The National Assembly must ensure reforms attract foreign investment while supporting economic growth and job creation, according to Nasima. Now, the Nigerian Exchange Limited has announced the listing of two new futures contracts, Nigerian Exchange 30 U5 and Nigerian Exchange Pension U5, aimed at enhancing liquidity and deepening the derivatives market. In a market bulletin issued on March 17, 2025, the Nigerian Exchange stated that these contracts are tied to the Nigerian Exchange 30 Index and Nigerian Exchange Pension Index with an expiration date of September 19, 2025. According to God's Time Iwenikai, head of issuer regulations at the Nigerian Exchange, the contracts became available for trading the same day. The Nigerian Exchange 30 U5 contract linked to the Nigerian Exchange 30 Index was listed at 4,226.75 points, while the Nigerian Exchange Pension U5 contract, based on the Nigerian Exchange Pension Index, debuted at 5,079.75 points. The listing aligns with Nigerian Exchange's broader strategy to provide investors with improved risk management tools and expand Nigeria's financial markets. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Naira appreciated to 1,590 Naira to the dollar in the parallel market on Monday, strengthening from 1,600 Naira per dollar recorded last weekend. This marks a slight improvement in its value against the United States dollar in the informal market. However, in the Nigerian foreign exchange market, the Naira depreciated to 1,549 Naira to the dollar, reflecting a decline in its official value. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria showed that the indicative exchange rate rose to 1,549 Naira to the dollar from 1,548 Naira per dollar last Friday, indicating a marginal 1 Naira depreciation. As a result, the gap between the parallel market and the official exchange rate narrowed to 41 Naira per dollar from 52 Naira per dollar recorded last weekend, according to Nigerian Souq. Now, Office of the Surveyor General of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has stated its readiness to ensure successful digital drone mapping of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Speaking at a press briefing with the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority and the Federal Capital Development Authority, Surveyor General of the Federation, Abdul Ganiyu Abodomehi, lauded all government organizations for collaborations to make the project a successful, stressless that once the 3D mapping is concluded, it will serve many purposes, including effective development of agricultural resources. Also, in a statement signed by the head, Information and Public Relations of the Surveyor General's Office, necessary clearance had been obtained from the Office of the National Security Advisor and the military for safety operational risk assessment, SORA head of the photogrammetry and remote sensing. Hafiz Aziz noted that the privacy and safety of members of the public will not be compromised during the supervision of the drone digital mapping projects, according to reports. And now we move to southwestern Nigeria, where Oyo State and Osun State Command of the Nigerian Customs Service said it made the sum of 2 billion naira as revenue in February this year. In a statement by the Customs Area Controller in charge of the command, Joseph Adelaja, the sum of 165 million naira was generated from anti-smuggling activities within the period under review. Adelaja also added that the command intercepted bags of foreign parboiled rice and cannabis sativa, among others, worth 486 million naira within 17 days. The comptroller attributed the achievement to effective intelligence sharing by the Customs Intelligence Unit, the Customs Police Unit, and the unwavering support of relevant stakeholders who collaborated with the command to accomplish yet another milestone. We're going to break. I'll be back with more stories to join us again. Welcome back. Now, Nigeria's stability in economics and the ongoing conflict in Sudan have contributed to a significant decline in the telecommunications sector revenue generation, as revealed in recent financial reports. Currency depreciation, particularly the weakening of the Nigerian naira, and political unrest in Sudan have disrupted business operations, leading to financial strain. Service revenues in the sector saw a 15.4% decline on a reported basis, with constraints of 13.8% growth in constant currency terms. Data revenue followed a similar pattern, dropping by 12.3% in reported terms, but rising by 21.9% in constant currency. Despite a challenging business environment, fintech services emerged as a growth area, recording an 11% increase in revenue. However, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization declined sharply by 33.5%, while basic earnings per share fell into negative territory. As companies navigate these economic difficulties, strategic restructuring efforts are underway to stabilize operations and drive future growth. Plans are in motion to spin off fintech operations in key markets like in Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, with investments aimed at strengthening financial services. Regulatory challenges remain a key concern, particularly in Nigeria, where compliance hurdles have slowed expansion efforts. The industry also exploring the network sharing agreement to optimize infrastructure costs and improve service delivery, aligning with the global trends. While market uncertainties persist, efforts to adapt business models and secure strategic partnership suggest a long-term focus on resilience and sustainable growth. Now, the Nigerian Police Service Commission has approved the promotion of senior police officers, various ranks. This includes 20 commissioners of police elevated to Assistant Inspector General, 19 deputy commissioners promoted to commissioners, 13 superintendents to chief superintendents, and 14 deputy superintendents to superintendents. In a statement on Monday, Ikechukwu Ani, head of press and public relations at the commission, listed some of the newly promoted officers. Those elevated to Assistant Inspector General include Fasuba Olabode, Musibao Ajani, Aliu Musa, and several others. Among those promoted to commissioners of police are Usman Tahir, Sunday Okoebo, Ayodeji Fanio, and Hope Okafor. The commission said the promotion aims to enhance leadership and efficiency within the Nigerian police force. And now we're on to the world of sports, where Nigerian table tennis star Kadiri Aruna has been confirmed for the maiden world table tennis contender Chennai in India as a replacement for Germany's Dimitrov Overdrov. The tournament, set to take place from March 25 to 30th at the Jawaharlal Nehru Indoor Stadium, features a prize purse of $270,000. Aruna will compete in the men's singles alongside 9 other top players, including his African rival, Omar Assar of Egypt. Others confirmed participants are Denmark's Jonathan Groth, Brazil's Hugo Calderano, and Japan's world number 4, Tomokazu Harimoto. The 36-year-old, ranked world number 19, has participated in 2 world table tennis events this year. In January, he reached the semifinals of the World Table Tennis Star Contender in Doha, but lost to Harimoto. After an early exit at the World Table Tennis Champions in Chongqing, he aims for a stronger performance in Chennai. And that's it on the Midday News. Many thanks for watching. Now do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Souq News TV. I am Oyin Priye Krumale. A very good afternoon to you.
I'm not saying I'm going to give up on busking, but I'm not going to do busking forever.
Welcome to another edition of Inside Live. My name is Hans Mba. We are on Souq News Television, as you already know. On the show today, we have another special guest, like we always do every time you see Inside Live on your screen. Now, this is a musician, like one of my friends likes to call it, I like to say. So he's a musician of a different kind. This is so he performs, or he hones his skills on a different kind of stage. I will not tell the story for him, but let him do it. He's none other than Komi or Komo?
Komi Flame.
Komi Flames is in the house, but I like to call him Daniel Ahanji. How are you doing, sir?
Very well, sir.
First and foremost, what you do is different. Yes. And I think I know where it's from, but I would like the people to also know where that came from. Tell us what you do.
So my name is Komi Flame, and I do busking. Busking is an act of playing on the street to entertain people and also to make tip from it. All of this stress I've been under. Red on my cup running over. But I'm okay tonight. Oh, yeah, we gon' be alright. But I'm okay tonight.
Okay, if you say it like that, it's a bit iffy. So, busking, break it down for us. What does the art of busking? Because from what we know about busking, from what I know about busking, it's you see it on movies when people travel on trips. Yeah. You see people on the streets. So it's either their hats open on the floor, they're playing a keyboard, or they're playing drums, or they're actually just singing. You know. So explain your type of basking or busking. Busking?
Yes.
Please explain to us.
So my type of busking is me singing and playing the guitar at the same time. And also busking is spelled B-U-S-K-I-N-G, not B-O-X-I-N-G. It's spelled B-U-S-K-I-N-G.
Okay.
So busking is an act of playing on the street to entertain people, or playing in any public place at all to entertain people and make people listen or watch what you are doing. It might be music, playing an instrument, magic, anything. Just a public showcase of anything you can do. And that's just it.
What makes me in awe of this art, right? It's a different kind of art, It's iffy almost. Why busking? Why did you believe in busking? Because I know from around here, I've been around a while. I've been around music circles. I've been around, entertainment for a while.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone do busking.
In this part of the world, right?
In this part of the world. So I really we want to get into your mind space. How long have you done this for, by the way?
I've been busking since 2019.
So let's just go back a bit. So why busking for you? How did it start? And why did you choose it?
I started off playing the guitar around 2018. Again. So my friend taught me how to play the guitar. He's a very good friend of mine. So he was being taught in church, and he'll come back home to teach me how to play the guitar. So that's how I learned how to play the guitar.
So you didn't go officially or anything?
I didn't go for any class or anything.
So you played, like my friend would say, you play by hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
So he was learning from his church, and he would come back home and teach me with his own guitar. So from there, I was learning the guitar, and before then I could sing. Yeah, I sing in churches, fellowships, and stuff like that. Yeah. So after that, I saw someone doing busking in Nigeria, actually. Yeah,
okay.
In this part of the world, but he does not do it any longer. Yeah. So I saw someone doing busking at that particular time while I was learning the guitar. So I was like,
where was this and when?
This was around 2019, so I guess the beginning of 2019. Yeah, so I saw him doing the busking, and I told myself, not be the same guitar where I play with this. So I saw him doing it, and his heart was down in a mall in Souq. Yeah, so I told myself that I'm going to up on my guitar skills and up on my singing skills too, and I'm going to do this same thing at this same place, maybe during December, because I know normally December people are always out in the mall. So I told myself I was going to do the same thing here, and I made it happen.
So that was it.
That was it.
Like you saw one guy at the mall in Nigeria.
Exactly.
Did you have a conversation with this person? What's his name?
His name is Alex. Alex C. We still talk sometimes.
So why did he tell you why he got off?
No,
he
just
stopped.
No, he still do music, just he does other businesses and stuff like that. And normally busking is not easy. So anyone that might just give up on the craft, give up on busking, not on music, you get, maybe to chase other things, you get, it's not a bad idea.
So are you going to give up on busking?
I'm not saying I'm going to give up on busking, but I'm not going to do busking forever.
Obviously, no one does anything forever.
Yeah.
But so how, so you saw Alexi and you said, this is what I wanted to do. So at the time, did you see the prospect of making a living from it?
No, not really. Not really.
So it was the passion from the guitar playing, or was it the passion from that boldness? You seen the guy just go crazy with his art.
That boldness no fully come. You know, come like immediately.
Then I was the job.
Yes, it took a while. Yeah, that boldness no fully come. But I just told myself that this person is doing this thing. I could also do the same thing. Yeah, and over the years gone, I've even done more than he has done. Yeah, because the way I've pushed mine, you get, he's my boss, so I respect him up to date. But the way I've pushed my own busking, yeah.
Obviously, that's why you're here today.
Yeah, that's why.
On Inside Live. So now, 2019, you saw Alexi, you're like, I can do this. So how has it been from then till now? Because I know that I've seen you do your stuff from malls to street corners.
Yeah.
From the island to the... have you done any busking outside of Lagos?
No.
So I've seen you go, because I like to say your stage is different, right?
Yeah.
I've seen you... So what are the places you have done your performed, and what's the experience like?
I've performed at different places. There are some places I just even performed there only once. And after once, I did not
You
go
haven't
there
gone back there
for a very long time. But I've tried out different places on the streets. As far as it's in Lagos, yeah, I'll try my best to make sure I get to that place. Yeah, on the island, at malls. Yeah,
So how
different
often
places.
have you done? So I'll say the mall in Lekki, the mall in Sule, the mall at Novare, up
Yes.
around
Shongotedo.
Shongotedo, the mall in Ikeja, the mall in Maryland.
Yeah.
So, what are the experiences like from each of these malls? And where do you frequent and why?
Okay, currently, where I frequently play at is Tejo Shoyaba.
I missed that one.
Yeah,
Okay,
Tejo
that's another place
Shoyaba.
with the people. With
Yes. Yeah. Obalinde currently. And some places on the mainland. Yeah. I do Oshodi too sometimes. Yeah. I do Sulere too. Sometimes I also go to the island. Yeah. Most times if I go to the island. Yeah.
Why did you add most times?
Because I can't really say it.
Come on, I know why. Okay. You won't say why, but I'll tell them why.
Yeah.
So, how much is the most you have made from basking at any of the malls? Tell us the truth, though.
Any of the malls. Let's say, should I disclose this? I make money.
I know it's private information, but
Yeah.
if you would speculate, that's fine. But because I want to be able to see more people, go basking.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel that information is privileged information as well as information that people, need to know.
Yeah.
You might not be specific with the numbers,
Yeah.
But we want people to.
So, busking on the streets, yeah, I can't say for you though. It's depending on your craft, but I could say you could roughly make from 10K to any amount. Maybe 500, 200, 300.
I like that margin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it can be good today,
And
tomorrow is going to be
I
bloody.
know, because
Yeah.
I've seen some basking and I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you guys help this guy, do something.
Yeah.
So which of the malls have you performed more frequently at, and why choose those particular malls to go back to?
The malls I perform, the malls I can say I really perform currently, frequently, is the Palms Mall. You get? I do there most times.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's the only mall. And Novari Lekki Mall. But it's been a while I went to Novari Lekki Mall, but I do Palms Mall frequently. You get me? For now.
Why? Is it because of the
because
money?
No, not because of the money, because they appreciate what I do.
That's where I was going to with that.
They appreciate, and they're always welcoming me.
So how do you know that they appreciate you?
Because anytime I speak to them,
Because it's the money.
Currently,
They are staying away from the money.
No, not
Come on.
because currently, yeah, for Palms Mall, you get most of their workers in the management, once they have their birthdays, I'm the one they do call for their birthday surprise.
Oh,
yeah.
beautiful.
So they welcome me to that point, yeah, where we are now family. Anything that's happening, okay, we want you to come play for this person. I'm always the first person they call.
So you play any other instrument?
I play the keyboard, I play the drums, but
Any wind instrument?
no.
No, because when you say you come and play on for their birthdays, what came to mind is that whole
Sometimes they ask me to come with a saxophonist too, so I just
so you just come through.
and we do it together.
Have you been to Ikeja Mall?
Yeah, I've been to
Because they say arguably that's the biggest mall in Lagos.
I've been to Ikeja Mall, but I don't play inside. Yeah.
Okay, how do you mean?
I play
At the
outside,
parking lot,
not at the park.
outside the compound.
Outside the compound.
How? There's no
There's a-
conducive place because
there's-
I know there's a road in front.
That
road's on the side.
That road's in front. Yeah, the small gate.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's people can drive in from.
No, that people walking from.
Facing the double lane. There's a slight
Yes,
bar
facing
that
the
you just
double
come in,
lane.
then you go to the end and
Yes.
drive in.
Yes,
But how does that work? Why can't you play in the mall?
I can't play in the mall because I've sent letters to them like twice, and I've been.
Oh, you have to do that,
Yes, I have to do that.
and you have done that.
I've done that 3 times to Ikeja City Mall.
So who do you? Ikeja City Mall. Let us breathe. So So who do you give these letters to? Because you have to be sure that they're being delivered. That's another thing.
I guess that's not in my power. My own job is to go present the letter. Yeah, and
It's
I
in
get
your
that.
power to give it. If you come, for instance, you come here and downstairs, you walk across the road and give someone a letter.
I go to the central management office.
Okay.
And I present the letter to the secretary I find at seat at that particular moment. Yet sometimes if I go now, yeah, the person I'll meet there when
Someone
I do
else.
the next ceremony, it's someone else. Yeah. But what I know is I've sent my letter to them 3 times. 3 times.
So this is the same thing you've done
And I
at
got
other
3
malls.
no's.
They've been responding to you and they said no.
No.
Is there a reason why?
They said it's not done in the mall, that they can't do such a thing.
Did you tell them about other malls where you perform at?
Of course, they said if I could do it there, does not mean I could do it here.
Ah, I see. Okay, I thought you didn't get any response. I was going to tell them that they should do something about that.
Yeah.
So, street corners,
Yes, sir.
streets. You mentioned Oshodi. Where else have you?
Street corners, Oshodi or Bali.
Do you choose, like popular bus stops with human traffic, or do you just, as you're led, you just stop somewhere and you start to play?
No. I don't. It's not as I'm led. Though. I'm strategic about it. You get?
Right.
Yeah.
So, if you get to a place, just like Lagos is Lagos, right? Do you need to inform certain people that you are going to be performing? For instance, if you come to my neighborhood,
Yeah.
there are certain people you gotta see,
Yeah.
and say, Baba, we have come, what to do?
And not,
Want
if
to-
I notice that some guys around here, like the area boys and stuff like that, I don't really even speak to the area boys. I go to their boss. Yeah, and
Obviously.
I speak to them.
Obviously.
And I speak to him. As soon as almost time go, I don't speak. I just start doing my thing. I know they will come around. So when they come around, I'll say, who I want to know your boss. So as soon as I speak to your boss, yeah.
It's an okay thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. You start doing your thing. So you said 2019.
Yes, sir.
So prior to 2019, you never held a guitar.
No, I said I was learning the guitar around that year time. Yeah. I've been learning the guitar with my friend. Yeah, and there was a particular when I even started learning, I did not have my own. So I was learning with his. So from time to time I got a smaller guitar.
Was it every day?
Yeah.
Was
I
it
was
every day
learning.
you were learning?
No, not every day.
But
I just wanted it. I loved it. Yeah, I wanted to learn the guitar and I just like the instruments. So even sometimes when I was not opportune with the guitar, my mind was still there. Yeah, my mind was still there. And
don't mind me that I cut you short. I wanted to, because I'm a novice myself. I have a guitar at home. So it's like a decorative piece. Right? So as you began to play, I thought about what you had said about 2019 and I'm like, prior to that you hadn't played and you played by ear and someone teaching you. So it's giving me goosebumps and ginger to go home and do something about mine before it starts to collect cobwebs. And so please, show us what Combo Flames does.
Happy no fair to me. Say I never call you through it. Boy, I hope that you are well. I hope you're my better. Every day I dey pray for you. Make me Papa God bless you. See I ain't forget you. Say I go forget you. See my shoulder. Make you rest up on me. No, I got you. Now me be your friend in the money don't shoulder. I don't keep some for you. No go so far. Cause anything I get now for me and you. Yeah. How are you, my friend? How do you do, my friend? I know sometimes it be like say, nobody send you down for nada. I there for you, my friend.
I wish I had a studio audience. I love it. And I have to play this instrument. I'm sorry. Because something stood out for me. You talked about you wanting to do it.
Yeah.
There's nothing beats passion. Nothing beats passion. I hope I am passionate enough to drive this and want to do it.
So okay, I would like to say something. Like it's
Please.
not about the money, for real. It's not about the money because I've
You
seen
just took the words from my mouth. I was going to,
I've
I was going to go there again.
I've seen my growth over the years. The first day, the day I got my first guitar, which was the smaller one, yeah. While I was going home, yeah, someone in the bus paid for my transport because he just saw me. I got a new guitar and he was talking to me. I was like, "You just got a new guitar?" I said, "Yes." Yeah. Then he paid for my transport and he told me, "Yeah, hopefully one day I'm going to pay to see you at a bigger show." And at that particular point, I did not know what he was talking about. Yeah, I was like,
I just want to learn.
Does he want to see it? I just want to learn this thing. Oh, you want to see me at a bigger show? But up to now, I don't know who that person is. If I see him by the roadside, I won't be able to recall. Yeah, but he said something and everything. Now it's beginning to make sense to me that it's moving from a hobby to a career this time. And that's just it.
That's amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. So, from when you started to play to now, how long have you played in the streets and the mall? Like, how long has that been?
Most times when I get jobs, due to the fact that we don't have any risk.
Now, do you get called?
Yeah.
To events and stuff?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
To bars, restaurants too. So most times when I get jobs like that, maybe I'm playing in a particular mall this time, I'm playing in a particular restaurant this time, yeah. And in as much as the place might be paying me, due to the fact that we don't have any written agreement, I just know that I'm not going to be here for too long. I've never even played at a place for a year stretch or a 6 month stretch.
You're a traveling man.
Yeah, so I move as soon as this one just next one you get. So most time the only deal I've gotten that stayed very long was the Landmark deal. Yeah, and I still play a Landmark
at the beach.
Yes, I still play a Landmark.
So can someone do busking as a full-time job?
Of course.
Speak on it for a little bit.
So a person can decide to brand himself as a busker, not even as a recording artist, but as a full-time busker. In the sense whereby you have different locations that you play. It's just about planning different locations that you play in every day. But you just have to understand the craft you get. You don't have to do the same thing. You have to add ginger. You have to add different things to what you're doing. You have to make it interesting so that if I see you today and I'm seeing you maybe next 2 weeks, I should be willing to see you again. So it takes a lot of work. So that it does not get
you have to keep upping your game.
Yes, it does not get boring over.
It's actually it's similar to listening to an artist sing, and also going to their page to listen to their music. So when you aspire to see them on stage, you don't want to hear what you're hearing on the streaming platforms. You want to see him do the song differently, which is why I understand what you're saying there. Okay. So it can be a full-time career.
Yeah, of course.
That's strange. The only place I've seen this is overseas.
I watched a video on YouTube. Yeah, because most times I get my ideas of the busking craft. Most people that do videos that inspire me are
any kind of video.
People I mean,
people that sing.
That does busking abroad.
Okay.
They are the white people.
Okay.
So I saw a guy that made a video that he quit his banking job to come do busking on the streets.
That's why I felt it was strange when I
so
saw
for him to do that means it could be a job. It's also his own job too, doing it at different locations and different.
But many times, I know people that I know creatives are crazy people.
Yeah.
Passionate people are crazy people.
Yeah.
Right. So many times when he says, "Okay, I'm leaving a bank job to go busk," right? He's not looking at the money. He's looking at the satisfaction, the fulfillment. Now, tell me about what that is for you.
Okay, me, while playing on the streets, most times while I'm playing too, while I'm performing, I must enjoy what I'm doing. So if my setup is not giving me what I want, I just have to make sure that I'm getting that sound that I want from my guitar or from my mic or something. So my setup and what I'm doing I must actually enjoy it. So if I'm enjoying it, what I'm doing at that particular moment, I don't even care what anybody is putting in my basket. Yeah, I'm all right.
But there is a basket.
Yeah.
But you see, what I pick from that is when you're enjoying it, it radiates.
Yeah.
People can tap in.
Yes.
I've seen someone I was sharing earlier. I've seen someone that was, busking, and his heart was just there, eyes closed. He was just playing away, And this lady came. She looked at him. She got out her phone. She recorded for a while, and next thing, she obviously didn't have cash to give.
Yeah.
Next thing, she walks up. She walks up to him behind him and just gives him a hug. Gives him a tight hug and just walks away. And for someone like that, that's all the fulfillment for that day he's good.
Exactly.
You
He might as well just help that woman. Maybe it's a motivational song he was singing or a prayer
Both
song.
ways. True.
He has just done something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Komi Flames.
Yes.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks.
We hope to have you again.
Thanks.
Right? Keep doing what you're doing, because one of the things that we commend people on the show about, and I do personally as well, is when I see people that are bent on their passion, people that are driven, people that don't need motivation. Of course, we all need motivation. Many times it doesn't come from outside, it comes from within.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just wake up and you just don't want to do that thing. You don't want to do anything. But that little voice comes and tells you, look, dude, this is you.
Yeah.
And people are waiting to see you manifest, So I must commend you. We love your music. Yes, by the way, you have your own music.
Yeah, I write my songs. Yeah, I'm working on them, but currently.
But you just write because busking will not give you time.
No, busking. I don't do busking.
What have you recorded?
Yeah, I do.
You have recorded.
I do. But it's not out currently.
Do you want to play us something you did?
Of course.
Let's hear something you did.
Okay, this song is titled Miracle. You never tell me start to the fight. I know go lie, miracle fine. She fair, she slim, she not too tall. For real, she's what the high. 8 a.m. she go chat me good morning. And I don't dey feel something for her. She don't dey feel something for me. Nah. So many girls on my phone, but now you the boss man. Been through so much pain, please don't add to my soul. Yeah. Oh, baby, you're the one for me. Baby, you're my miracle. You're my miracle. I feel to swim on the ocean for you. I feel to climb on the mountain for you. I feel to catch a grenade for you. I feel to pile up a pity for you. Oh, baby, you're the one for me. Oh, baby, you're my miracle.
Daniel Ahanji.
Yes, sir.
Popularly known as
Komi
Flames. Thank you so much for being on Inside Life.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing your inside life with us. Hope to see you again same time.
Yes.
Again.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, well, still Inside Life. You heard from Komi Flames. Check him out on social media. He's Komi Flames across board. Check out his music. He's gone, like I said earlier, his stage is a different kind, from street corners to malls, and he sings, and he touches people's hearts. And if you feel touched, you support him. But the important thing is the fulfillment that is gotten from the arts called basking. Same time next week. See you. It's Inside Live. My name is Handsome Bar. Bye for now.
Congratulations on the new channel, and I'm happy to be here. The Omniverse is imagined as a collaboration platform. So it's a platform that, as the name suggests, is bringing together ecosystems. So it's like an ecosystem of ecosystems, aggregating aggregators, and community leaders who are able to bring together their communities together to a platform. So the summit in itself was, while it was a big event and a heavy lift for us and the team, and I have to thank our team of volunteers. We had a team of about 40 full-time core volunteers that delivered the Omniverse. So one of the key things about the Omniverse is that it's designed to go beyond an event, and designed to be fully something that people can engage beyond the summit. So we will be launching our digital platform. We have about 70 community partners already, including a number of government institutions. So to answer the question, there's public-private partnership within the Omniverse. There's regulators, there's government departments and agencies, there's ministries. But more importantly, there's diverse sectors across the economy coming together with the understanding that tech is the biggest enabler for development across all sectors, and that if we can drive collaboration, we can scale. So that's the ethos of the Omniverse. Collaboration is the superpower that we're trying to bring to the fore. That operating in silos has not paid us, but if we come together, understand that technology affects every sector, then we think the Omniverse is here to stay. Nigerian companies, Nigerian associations, global associations, and when I say associations, it's from things like the Nigerian digital artists who have 3,000 members, right, in the NFT community, the Visual Artists of Nigeria, the Society of Nigerian Art, the AfriLabs, which is the biggest innovation hub network on the continent in 54 African countries, ISN Hubs, which is our core partner, which is the biggest innovation network in Nigeria, innovation support network, with something like 189 hubs in 30 states in Nigeria. And these are primarily private sector driven platforms, from aggregators who are major promoters of major platforms such as Lola Shone from Ake Book Festival, Choma Ode from AFRIF. We have a lot of these people who are either on our advisory board, they are co-chairs, or they are community partners, because what we're building is beyond any one person. It's about collaboration both at the top level, but through the line down to the bottom. The role of my council is, first of all, to be the primary sort of mandate is to infuse Nigerian arts and culture into everything the Nigerian government does, at state level, at federal level, and to input it into schools, education, and everywhere. So in that sense, to make arts and culture functional and front line everywhere. This will involve the foreign minister, making sure it's embedded in our foreign policy, in our embassies, in the government policy, in every sector. So we're literally going to be reaching out to collaborate to all government at all levels, all other agencies, MDAs, ministries, federal government and state government institutions, to see how we can find common ground. Because obviously we don't necessarily have a lot of money, but I feel we represent the real crude oil of Nigeria, which is the IP that the Nigerian people create. That IP they create, even if you valued it at $100 per Nigerian, that'd be something like $20 billion. And I believe each Nigerian is worth more than $100. So my own estimation, it's limitless, right? So what we have to do is we have to rethink how we imagine ourselves, rethink our own possibilities, and therefore from there, take off by pushing that agenda. But it's not an agenda for me alone. It's actually an agenda for all of Nigeria. Because when we put it front and center, it means we're putting the Nigerians front and center. And we put the Nigerians front and center, I think we win. I think historically you will find that the federal government and the governments of Nigeria have not funded heavily these sectors. They funded the heavy industries, the military-industrial complex, heavy infrastructure. But the funny thing is, whilst Africans will say, oh, this is grammar, what are you people talking about in arts and culture? What you find is that the West, right, for 500 years has dominated the world. How have they dominated the world? Through narrative. Okay, but what do we complain about? Narrative. But we haven't invested in narrative. So if you don't invest in telling your own story and owning your own story, why are you complaining about how you're perceived? So I think it's counterintuitive, and it's about time. And I'm very pleased and very happy that Nigeria now has a full ministry focused on this one specific issue. Because the truth of the matter is, we are older than time itself. We come before Christ. We come before the entire Western hegemony. We are actually the origins of everything, of innovation, of technology, of science, of education. But if we don't believe it ourselves and we don't express it, how can you expect anybody else to believe it? Well, I think the difference is that as a creative entrepreneur, there's really nothing to stop me, right? I can take all the risks. I don't have to worry about anything. I can decide, win or lose, we're doing this thing. But of course, as a public official, I have rules and regulations I have to go by. I have a boss. I report to people, and I have KPIs I have to deliver on. So there's a bit difference in that regard. There's a difference in bureaucracy, maybe a difference in response time, but there certainly will not be a difference in my personality. So I think it's really about how you perceive what these things are. For me, it's an elevation, obviously, and it's a privilege and a pleasure to serve at this level, to do something that I believe in, to do something which is that I believe in Nigeria. I believe in Nigerians. I know our ability. I think we are world class. I don't like all this, it's good for Nigeria. I hate that. So I think for me, that is what's important. And to have the opportunity to try to deliver on some of the things we've been trying to do from the private sector for the last 25, 30 years. So there's nothing new for me in that regard. But of course, the position is new. Being in the government is new. But with a lot of support from friends, family, professional colleagues, and other people in the industry, plus my co-DGs and the minister, hopefully we'll do well. We're under the Ministry of Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy. And that's very, very powerful because it means Nigeria itself has taken a decision to own the agenda. Hopefully I have a good time, have a good tenure, and I don't make any enemies. And well, for me, if you leave a place and the people that worked with you have good things to say, if they feel better about their work and about themselves, and if the brand that you're now leading is now appreciated by the people for what it does and how it brings it to the table, then I've done my job. I think Afrobeats has already established the fact that we are originally Nigerian. Or some people say arrogantly Nigerian. And it was intentional. We built this thing, and it was intentional because we're not going to ever apologize for being Nigerian. We're not going to apologize for being black. We're not going to apologize for being African. And that's front of mind. Because, you know, when you do show business, you have to validate it. So we validated the show maybe at least 10 years ago. So now we're in the business phase. So when you see the exit of Maven Records with UMG, you see Iwaju coming, Comic Republic with Universal Studios, you begin to understand where we're building to. And when you think about where we're coming from, where there was no infrastructure, no funding, no support, and I think part of what we hope to do with government at this time is, because we come from the sector, we can collaborate with everybody in the sector. We don't have to talk at them. We talk with them, we build with them. And together, I think it's limitless. You know, Nigerians like to say the sky is your limit. I think it's limitless. There's no limit to the whole situation. One of the things I talk about all the time is what's the difference between Thor and Shango? Thor is approaching $50 billion in revenue. Shango's broke somewhere outside Lagos. And that's a lack of imagination on our part. That's a lack of us delving into the richest thing we have, which is our mythology. Our mythology is endless. If you look at the Marvel universe and the DC Comics universe, the Orisha are basically the same thing as the X-Men. But the Orisha, some people are still afraid of them, whereas the X-Men are north of $100 billion in revenue. So I think we have to think, we have to understand and reimagine our mythology, our history, our stories, and how to bring them to the world in new formats. It's not just film. It could be live action, it could be gaming. There's so many different ways to action these things. And when you do them and you do them right at the right level, as Iwaju is beginning to show you, our stories have always been world class. Our characters are world class. What we have not had is the resolve and the confidence to finish. But I think that is coming now. For me, I think it's still the fact there's more to do. My young brother, Misan Harriman, is nominated at the Oscars, the first Nigerian nominated for a director for a short film, because I know what that will do for the next generation of Nigerian directors, right? So for me, there's still more to do. There's so much more to do. When we see our first $100 million movie in the global box office, we need to celebrate it. When you win a Grammy, you need to celebrate it, because these are stages that we were locked out of. The technology and new media has allowed us to invade these spaces we were not even invited to. But now we're beginning to enter them and dominate. So even when you do that, you have to do it with grace and dignity, not with arrogance. And that's something that some of us have to learn. But the truth of the matter is, the greatness of the Nigerians is just beginning to come. And I feel strongly that this century, we're already in the African century, and the soft power that we hold here is what will define the future of the century. I think the most important thing, the first thing to think about is IP protection, because the minister is working strongly. Yeah, intellectual property. The U.S. If you take the state of California, California is probably in the top 5 economies in the world, and 70% of the economy of California is driven by intellectual property, by 2 core industries: Silicon Valley, which is coming out of Stanford University, and Hollywood, which of course is the music and film industry. Now, that is for anybody that says, oh, what is this thing that they're talking about? We don't understand it, it's grammar. The grammar is the money, okay? The narrative is the money, the story is the money. So any of your children or your nieces or nephews that have talent, visual art, performing art, arts and crafts, adire, all of these things that we've been taking as vocation, they are occupations. They are extremely valuable. And with digital technology and platforms, we can scale these things and generate incredible revenue. The point being that Nigeria has so much to bring to the world in terms of these things. I think Nigerian cuisine is going to be on the level of Chinese and Indian cuisine worldwide in the next 10 years. And if you understand that, then you understand that the Indian restaurants in the UK, as far back as 2009, were generating more money than the UK automobile, shipping, and metal, steel industries combined. That's just restaurants on the high streets. So that is why we must invest and we must put our energy into this sector, because this sector will provide the jobs, provide the revenues, and provide the global dollars that everybody's looking for. Oh, I think it hasn't even started. The Maven Records deal is giving you an indication of that. The reason why that valuation of $150 to $200 million has been done is because of the upside potential of Rema, who's 23, and Arya Star, who's 20. So they're looking at the fact that in 10 years' time, these guys could have generated $1 billion each. Do you understand? So it's a safe bet when you already have a built global talent at 23, when it normally takes years and years and a lot of money to build the talent, right? So what has happened is that we Nigerians have been able to build global talents, global following, with a percentage of the money it takes people in other places to do the same thing. So because of that, the value and the valuation is much bigger, right? So I would say the Afrobeats wave, it's not even a wave. It's been going for 15 years already. So when you encounter it is when you encounter it. If you think it's an overnight success in 2024, that means you were not around in 2008. 2006, I'd say, is a good time to think, when the sort of continental, because we took Africa first, working very closely and collaboratively with South Africans, Ghanaians, and Kenyans. Then we started going into Asia and the UK and America on the black, what I call the Nigerian chitlin circuits, moving through the Nigerian communities. And then by about 2010, begin to come into the mainstream with Oliver Twist and all these kind of records that break globally. And now you have gold records from Oliver Twist in 14 countries. And now, in a situation now where an artist like Ashake can come out of Lagos, speaking a language that is not known to most of these people, and generating, selling out arenas. To become an arena artist, let me tell you, there are only 4 or 5 arena artists from Africa, and they're all Nigerian. Don't take it for granted. I think a lot of people feel that, but what I should tell the rest of the country is that the rest of the continent is also trying to get to Lagos as well, right? It's not just the rest of Nigeria. From Accra, from Luanda, from everywhere on this continent, they're trying to get into Lagos, because if they can break in Lagos, they can break anywhere else in the world. But what I would say is this, from the perspective of my agency, our purview is national and global. We have 10 regional offices. We'll be visiting all of them. And our duty is to spotlight and showcase everybody. So we can't deal with just Lagos. And I think as we go forward, people begin to see the activations and plans coming. But the easiest way to do it, and the way we're going to do our best to do it, is to provide digital platforms to give everybody the opportunity to be seen. Because in this world, we live in the attention economy. So to be seen and to be noticed is very hard if you're not in the place where all the noise is being made. But I know for a fact there's significant talent in all parts of Nigeria. I was watching last week a gentleman called Ehi Benite was showing me all this content from Joss with these guys rapping serious stuff. They're rapping in Hausa, they were doing ciphers. And then he was like, what do we do about these guys? I said, just keep pushing them because there's an audience for everything. There's an audience for everything. Don't be worried about that. There's an audience for every single thing, including the thing that you may be doing in your bedroom, but you think is not important. Somebody's interested in it. My label was a hip-hop label. I even refused to sign singers. There's almost every singer you could name was trying to get us to sign them. And I used to do it based on, can you rap? If you can't drop a freestyle, don't bother, right? It was that simple. And we helped all the other singers get signed to labels that we thought could help them and develop them in that direction. Hip-hop has changed, and obviously it's generational, right? So hip-hop has changed, and everybody approaches music from their own generation. Like, oh, I like this kind of hip-hop or that kind of hip-hop. What I feel is that Afrobeats became overwhelming, and it overwhelmed every other genre here. So the hip-hop guys had to fight for relevance, but the best ones always rise to the top. That's just the simple truth. So I don't worry about that. And I've heard enough guys. I even saw there was a whole Instagram series some guy was doing about a year ago where he was just bringing out fresh rappers every day from Enugu, from Jos, from Kaduna, from Kano, from Benin. I love it. I think they're incredible MCs in Nigeria. A lot of times they need to focus on doing better songs, right? Not just being a freestyle rapper. If you want to get paid to rap, you've got to do better songs. You can't just do the freestyles. And that's something they've got to think about. You've got to balance the commercial side of it with the business side of it. And what has happened is, to a large extent, the commercial side has won because you've got to pay bills. But hip-hop, it never dies. I think, first of all, obviously from the perspective I'm sitting in government, so I'm not in a position to tell government what to do or what not to do. But what I can say is this, is that the agency, my agency will be the home for the music industry, for performing arts, visual arts, fashion, gaming, recreation, festivals, culinary arts, film and television. We're kind of a convening agency for the ministry. So we have a lot of work to do, a lot of places to touch, but we're also going to collaborate with all the other MDAs in the ministry and heavily with the private sector and the developmental sector. Because to answer the question, I've worked in all these spaces for, it's not quite 40 years, but it's a long time. I've worked in all these spaces for a long time. In a situation we have positive relationships to bring to the table to change the approach and to change the destination of where we hope to go. What I will say as well is that the reality of it is we're just beginning the journey. And there are no magic wands. I'm not going to wave a wand and everything's going to be fixed overnight, and neither is anybody else. But we will be bringing fresh energy, fresh ideas, a fresh engagement, and we're obviously open to collaboration. And that's really important for me to say that, because people feel there are gatekeepers, but in my agency, there are no gatekeepers, right? We're not interested in whether you have the biggest reputation or the smallest reputation. We're interested in the value you're bringing to the table. Because the truth of the matter is Nigeria is massive. There's a lot of stuff going on in Nigeria. We're going to try to aggregate those things and bring them into one platform so that even as Nigerians, we can know what we're doing. Because to be honest, if you don't know and you don't follow, there's no way you can know 90% of what is happening even in Lagos before you talk about the rest of the 36 states and the FCT. So for me, from my perspective, the journey continues. The objective remains the same. We want to see Nigeria win. But in order to do it this time, I don't think government should ever be disinterested in the nature of the industries in which it is operating. But we also don't need to be owning the space. We want to enable, partner, collaborate, and see how we can push people to do more. Because there are already people doing a lot, and maybe they haven't been recognized, they haven't been brought out, they haven't been celebrated. All these kind of things we can help to do, help to get news stories and people to bring these things to the fore, right? Like I said today, a Nigerian who was nominated for an Oscar as a director, the first Nigerian. It's up tonight at the Oscars. It's not news in Nigeria. That's a problem. We have to be able to tell the stories that are of greatness of our people, because if you don't do that, you can't inspire anybody.
1957, just a greenhorn, leaving school and looking for a job, going into broadcasting was something that I dreamt of. But that's only meant going into radio, because my old school, Holy Child College, still on the same site in Obalende, 2 streets away from the old NBC. I still can't forgive whoever changed the name to something else that is being called now FRCN. Because if the BBC remains BBC 100 years after the founding fathers, dreamt of starting television, radio from, all the war years and learning a bit from America. It all started from America. Because we were taught about all this. Every time they took us from school to take part in, schools debates on radio, we just walked across. It's all in Obalende and Ikoyi, Balende/Ikoyi. So I dreamt of doing something along the line. And then one of my teachers left us high and dry and went to be a newsreader on radio. Marie Tabio, who later became Mrs. Irikefe. Then we had people like Tung Adedoyin and Souq. We used to listen to them on radio on the old, you wouldn't know anything about that now, the rediffusion. It was just, a little box in your home. And everybody looked forward to either listening to the 7 o'clock news in the morning or 6 o'clock or 7 in the evening. So that was all really all I had to do with broadcasting. And who was going to take me there was another matter altogether. Who would take you, little 16, 17-year-old girl, into broadcasting? But one had been bitten by the bug then. So, and only God knows where whatever dream you had was going to lead to. We read poetry, we did radio show, stage shows in school. Catholic schools were very good for that. And my old school, just celebrating 150 years of its existence, just down the road from here on Broad Street. The nuns, they were all white nuns. No Nigerian nuns at the time that we were growing up. So all the dream they had, this kind of dream that we have now, going to England. But they were coming here to teach us. So I had learnt a lot of poetry. I had taken part in Festival of Arts, and I had gone to the biggest hall we had then was at King's College, which is also down the road. Means of transportation was your SS foot. No BRT, no bicycles or whatever. So we did it all just walking around and learning from our teachers. And of course, our mentors were the nuns, like I said. So in my wildest dream, there was no way that I was thinking of going into anything like broadcasting. That is going back to answer your question. But they had a lot of plans for the girl child. And not along the religious lines now. But actually, they came to actually engender this whole idea of pushing the girl child forward. And not just me, a lot of us. People like Mrs. Francesca Emmanuel, they also went through the whole gamut of all this dream that I'm talking about. Television itself was brand new in the world. I have to talk about radio because that was what I knew as a child. But television, when it started, we didn't even know. Maybe in America, and then it went to Australia, and then to France. No. France came after Nigeria. You wouldn't believe that, would you? That we were number 6. America, Britain, Germany, Australia, one other country, and coming now home to Nigeria, where you cannot help but give a lot of credit to the dreams of people like late Chief Obafemi Awolowo and one of his ministers then, Chief Anthony Enahoro. So that's how I believe this whole package was placed on their laps and sold to Nigeria, to the Western Nigeria government. On the radar were lots of other people like me who had dreams about becoming Miss Nigeria. So maybe that will now give you a little background about how I took part in the Miss Nigeria pageant, Western Nigeria, and I became Miss Western Nigeria. Somebody must have fine-tuned some little knots somewhere and said, okay, you probably might be able to deliver. Because you are being interviewed when you go before the panel of judges. And somebody must have said, okay, that's a good material, you can come and take part in this. Before then, we had other people, Anike Agbaje Williams, Oliola Sokwe, who were working on radio. My dream was to work in radio, but then I missed that. And I was nursing, that dream of still going to radio. Never knew what television was all about. So maybe that answers your question. I'm not sure. But I took part in the Miss Western Nigeria pageant and I won. Took part in the Miss Nigeria contest and came second. So that meant that I didn't win. And if one of the, maybe the prize was to go on TV, it wasn't even there. It wasn't written into the, program that whoever did this, but the person was going to go to England. And so Helena Yemeluna, who won that contest, went to London and fulfilled her own dream. But I was still biting my nails, waiting for when I'll be able to get a job. There were other things that girls could do. You could be a nurse, you could be a teacher, you could be an assistant, a dental assistant. All those were things that young ladies, can, fulfill their dreams along those lines. They're still there. You still have young ladies. Mrs. Muritala Muhammad, the first time I met her, she was a dental assistant. Little did we know that her husband was going to be the head of state and she would be first. So you see, lots of things were there for the young girl who wanted to learn, who had the talent, and who wanted to perform, and who wanted to work hard. But now I don't know if girls want to work hard. All they want is, the table to be set, and then they come and, partake of whatever is there. It wasn't too difficult at the time that I was picked as one of the people to come and appear in WNTV. The audition was actually carried out before my time. I got involved in so many other things, trying to get a job, something to secure, something, to alleviate poverty. There was not too much poverty in Nigeria at the time because people could still make a living for themselves and, get by in society. But I was lucky that I had an aunt who was a nurse in the hospital in Ibadan, UCH in Ibadan. And she was married to an Englishman, and the man's friend happened to have been the man, Mr. Mathers, who was brought as one of the technical partners to WNTV. So we met at a dinner party, and just as you and I are chatting, I was only 18 plus. I was 17 when I took part in the pageant. But by this time, I was growing up, and I thought I was a big girl. So I opened my mouth, and I said a few things. And the man looked at me and said, how come you are not speaking with a Nigerian accent? And I didn't know what he meant because we were taught at St. Mary's to deliver whatever lines we were given to deliver. The Festival of Arts, I came second after an English boy from Corona School. And I was given a beating for coming second. Not because I didn't perform well, but because I forgot to curtsy. And one of the judges, I think, who was then Mrs. Abayomi, Lady Abayomi, said that I delivered my lines very well. So I was the Lord of Tartary. I would do this and that and the other. And so I came second. And when I got back to the school, the nun, Sister Marieta, said, you were not paying attention. So whatever you do in life, you have to be consistent. You have to perform well. The way we're trying to do now, the way we're trying to project your voice and whatever it is you have to offer with a lot of humility, not, trying to show off or to project your own image or whatever message you have to deliver. You have to make sure that it is well delivered. The following year, St. Mary's Convent School, which is my old school, which is 150 years old in existence, went to the same King's College Hall, and we beat a lot of secondary schools. We came first. Pied Piper of Hamelin. Have you ever heard of that poetry? Pied Piper of Hamelin was about someone who wanted to get rid of all the rats in Europe. And all he did was to play the pipe. So that is what we were more or less doing. That's what you and I are being a Pied Piper, trying to get off all the ills in society. That's the main job of a broadcaster. There's so many things happening in the country, and it's only TV and radio that binds the country together. If the country falls apart tomorrow, you will rely on someone from radio or from television to make the announcement, to introduce the head of state who has just won the election or the one who has just taken over. It's a huge responsibility. At that age, at 19, we had to introduce people like Chief Obafemi Awolowo on TV. We had to introduce people like Akintola, Oladoke Akintola as the premier. And when everything broke down and it all went into smithereens, they brought in Chief Majekodumi as the administrator of the Western region. All this happening before our eyes. There were no other stations in the country except WNTV. And we were there. So we learned quite a lot. In fact, I believe that the whole country revolves around broadcasting. And if you are part of that organization, how would you feel at my age, at 80-something? As young people, perhaps you don't know all this history that I'm telling you about. It's a long, long story. But when you sit down, you have to put it all into perspective. You see that, well, some people are actually meant to be in different positions. Some people are meant to be doctors. Some people are meant to be nurses. But those of us that are in broadcasting, it's a huge responsibility. It's a passion. Sometimes you don't even know how you got there in the first place. Or somebody may have discovered you. It's like being in Hollywood in those days. Someone has to develop, you have the talent, the latent talent, and then somebody will discover you. So that's how I was discovered by Mr. Mathers at a dinner. I was put in that place because I had won the Miss Western Nigeria contest. If I hadn't done that, I probably would be somewhere in the kitchen washing plates, washing all the dishes. So there you are, if that answers your question. Well, there's no one that actually picks someone and puts you plonk without, of course, if you don't have any experience on the job, you have no business being there in the first place. But if I had taken part in Pied Piper of Hamelin towns in Brunswick, I was only 13. By famous Hanover City, I was speaking like an English person. When I was only a Nigerian, little girl, being nurtured, by my mother, who was a seamstress, how would you ever get there? But you already have that background. that solid background on the rock, as it were. So by the time I was ready to go on TV, I had learnt from all the other, people that I mentioned their names earlier, like Anike Agbaje Williams. And I wouldn't say it was easy, because you always have that, butterfly fluttering in front of the camera or wherever. I think I took to television like I was meant to be there, with all humility. If I had been groomed by all these nuns that I have mentioned their names, they came to Nigeria to serve the people. They were not earning salaries, To become a nun, you have to take the oath of obedience, chastity, poverty, and all that. So you're not earning a salary. But whoever is there now is thinking of how much money he's going to get from